All right, dearly beloved. Uh, may the magic flow today. I hope you all saw the email that plans have changed. Tad came down with something terrible this weekend and sent me a voice message earlier this morning, and he sounded like a toad, basically. And so Tad is unable to teach today. We will reschedule his ethical marketing workshop. And so that means that we get to all come together and we get to have some other fun. So my off the top, yeah, Tad the Toad, poor guy. So off the top of my head plan, because I have been in coaching sessions all morning, so I just got to make this up. Is we're gonna do a review of everything that we've done this summer. So we've had 5 workshops together so far this year. The uh, we did the origin story workshop. So I want to review some of the key points from that workshop. We did your draw your map. So we all created a visual representation of the work that we do in the world so people can more easily understand it. We did a niching workshop and we did a point of view workshop. And then last week we did the thriving in business without social media workshop. So I want to just spend a moment going through each of those and giving each of you an opportunity to do a quick journaling session around those. And then we can get into some Q&A coaching. And if anybody has any questions whatsoever, then we can take some space to answer those. Hopefully that sounds good. And I'm just going to spotlight. There we go. So let's dive into a little walk down memory lane. So first things first, let's review what is in a signature workshop. So that's why we created this whole series. 2 years ago, as you all know, and if you don't know, you're going to know now, I created accidentally, because of Tad asking me to come teach my Thriving in Business Without Social Media workshop, I created what was the first iteration. I've now done 35. It's grown my email list by 5,000 people by just touring this one single workshop virtually. I've done 2 in-person versions of it, but it's mostly been 33 virtual workshop tours. And what kind of blew my mind was we had 1,100 people sign up for that first one. I'd never had a workshop grow my email list by 1,100 people. And it dawned on me in that moment when I was teaching it that touring one single workshop again and again and again and again and again is a really easy marketing strategy. And I want to do other things in my life. I don't want to be figuring out all sorts of other ways to market things and to spread my life's work around the world. I want to do the things that actually work, that take the least amount of time, that are most satisfying and fulfilling to me, and that can help people discover who the heck I am. And so that's the purpose of a signature workshop. And that was the whole purpose of this summer series, was to help lay some bricks so that you got a solid foundation under you to do this training, or to just go off and do your own thing in the realm of signature workshops. And so that was why we created this. So your signature workshop, just as a quick review here, your signature workshop, let me show you the map that I made a few weeks back, is it's your base camp. It's the base camp of your life's work. It's the first entry point of how people get introduced to you, who you are, what you do, what your point of view or your philosophy is, your backstory, which creates some resonance and relevance so that people can feel like you've walked in their shoes before and you understand the problem they have, and you could help guide them up the mountain to whatever the ultimate transformation is that they're trying to get to right now in their life. And the signature workshop is a 60-minute experience, not 90-minute. Trust me, I experimented. I did 90 minutes in the first bunch because I thought I needed to have more time, but less people sign up for 90 minutes. You look at how busy people are right now, how many distractions there are pulling people's attention. 60 minutes. It's an easy thing to say yes to if people are curious about you and your point of view and the work you do through the landing page. So I created this. Remember, we're just winging it today, so I'm just making this up on the spot. Um, this is my signature workshop landing page. I've done some slight improvements over the years, but basically a banner, little statement piece about what this is about and what my point of view is, the call to action and what the transformation is, the 19 proven effective and fulfilling relationships-based marketing strategies. A short, like 1-minute video inviting you to join it, and then some bullet points around what you're going to get in this workshop, and then a sign up button, some case studies of people who believe in what this is, and when somebody hosts me, so this is my next one that's coming up, I'll put their bio in there so that when his audience comes to my page, they see that he's hosting it and I'm going to be leading it. So that is what the landing page is that's grown my list by over 5,000 people, 0 social media time invested. And so that's what you'll be doing is you're going to be creating a landing page similar to that. And inside of your signature workshop, you're going to teach 4 things. You're going to be teaching your story, not the long-winded version of the story that's relevant to the result that you're providing in the workshop. We're going to get into stories in a minute here. Stories are really, really important for you in your business, in connecting with your audience and sharing the stories of your life, sharing the stories of the students that you've worked with, the case studies that you have. Stories are just, they're so powerful. So your story is meant to share, and we go into this in our second session. We're going to take you through a process that you're able to quickly share your story, the low point, the turning point, and what you've done since then. Those are the 3 pieces that we share in the signature workshop. So, am I thriving in business without social media? The low point was I wanted to leave social. I had my baby. I had this new branch of our business that we were building, and then I had this moment where I realized my brain had been hacked and I wanted to take it back, and I canceled my accounts the next day. So that's the brief story that I shared in my workshop last week. And then the next thing that we share in our signature workshop is our philosophy, or as we talk about in the point of view workshop, or as Tad talks about in his community, it's your unique point of view. So from my story, I pivot to this realization of everything about social media was an illusion, that the friends I had and the followers I had didn't bring me soup when I was sick. They didn't come help me chop my firewood when I needed to chop my firewood because it was starting to rain and it was getting cold outside. They weren't there to support me with my family. They weren't coming over for potlucks. They weren't inviting me to parties. None of them. And so I dig into the philosophy in the workshop that happened last week around relationships are the key to our success. And I go into my point of view around relationships-based marketing. And you're going to pivot from your story to your philosophy. In your signature workshop, these 2 sections are probably just the first quarter. You're looking at the first probably 15 minutes max of your workshop is going to be the story and the philosophy. Once you get through the story and the philosophy, this is the really important piece. And everybody's going to have their own experience that they're guiding, but the only way to get somebody to go from base camp to the call to adventure, where they hire you for coaching, they sign up for your program, they buy your audio library, they come on a retreat with you, the only way you're going to jump from base camp to the top of the mountain is if they have a profound experience and experience profound resonance with you to want to climb the mountain. And so that's where in your signature workshop, the majority of your workshop is going to be the experience. It's the breakthrough experience, I like to call it. And everybody's breakthrough is going to be different. Maybe you're guiding a ritual, maybe it's a guided meditation, maybe it's a journaling process. Maybe you're taking them through some form of unique experience that you have developed over your entire career that's going to help them have an epiphany, an insight, whatever it might be. This experience is really important because You want to have them walk away from the session with you feeling positively changed, feeling like their 60 minutes was not wasted, that it was actually highly beneficial for them. And that's really important piece. This experiential part, this might be 30 to 40 minutes of the workshop. So this is where I take people in mind. I take you through the 19 relationships-based marketing strategies, giving examples of how we actually use those in the real world for each and every single one of them, so that my goal at the end of that workshop is that you can choose 2 new strategies and you can run with them and never have to go on social media again. So for you, you have to think about, these people have never worked with you before. They're coming from this traffic space here. They've discovered you, they saw an ad, they were referred to you by somebody, they heard you on a podcast, they saw your YouTube video, they found you on Instagram, whatever it might be. However you drive traffic. And I will say, this was a thought I had earlier today, is like, I meet a lot of people that are just starting their blog for the first time. And it's great to start a blog, but if we don't have ways that we're driving traffic to that blog, then we're just kind of writing to the ethers, which is still a great practice. And I still highly recommend it. But the base camp here, this is the ultimate traffic generator. It's so easy. If you've been watching the emails that have been coming into your inbox, I lay out how you can get 3,000 people on your email list in a year by doing 30 workshops. And I can guarantee you, I'm sure you can all agree, there's probably hundreds of aligned people, hubs, organizations, etc., who align with what you're doing and the message that you have and the workshop that you're going to be creating, that would host you for a 60-minute experience, because it's going to make them look good to their audience. It's providing more valuable value to their audience. They get to keep the recording. They get the opportunity possibly to have reciprocation. So maybe you'll host them for a conversation or a workshop for your audience as well. And you're building relationships with these people. It's a beautiful thing. So your base camp, it needs to be transformational in order for them, or it needs to be positively beneficial in order for them to heed the call to want to go up the rest of the mountain with you and pay for one of the ways that you charge money for your services. And so right here we have the story, the philosophy. This is going to take us to probably 10 minutes left in the workshop, for your 60 minutes. And you got to make sure that you have a little bit of time for your call to adventure to explain how they can climb the rest of the mountain. How do they get to the summit? What does that path look like? You got to paint a picture for them on what the path ahead looks like. Because people can do the do-it-yourself version, which would be like an evergreen online course or an audio library. They could do a training, a group training. They could do one-to-one coaching. And each of those paths might look a little bit different to you. And you're all going to have your own ways of doing things. So it's important to be clear on that for yourself. But this call to adventure is really important. And I will say, it'll probably suck at first. This is the hardest part for most people, the last 5 minutes of like, I just poured my heart and soul into this thing. I just took you through this experience, and now I'm going to invite you into something that you're going to pay me money for. And that pivot can be challenging for people. You could make it a joke. Those of you who came to mine, I actually changed when this happens in mine based on some advice Tad gave me. So I used to wait until the last 5 minutes, and now I go through this part of my workshop. So here we are. I tell my story before this. I go through the 19 relationships-based marketing strategies. I talk about email marketing as my first strategy. Then we talk about the signature workshop stuff. We'll show you about the mountain and everything I just explained now, but in more detail. Then we go through what's included in your signature workshop. We get to that point, and then I'm like, and now a special word from our sponsors, the Craft and Tour, your signature workshop training. And then I go into a little commercial pitch where I walk people through the landing page for the training and talk about what the training is and what you'll get out of the training. And I've actually enjoyed that pivot more. So that's just a new lesson that's happened in probably the last 3 or 4 deliveries since Tad made that suggestion on changing the time of the pitch. and it's great. You can also joke, like I have mine as it's like, here's the advertisement part. And I tell them at the beginning is like, I'm gonna pitch you, I'm gonna sorry, I don't call it a pitch anymore. It's an invitation because people can take it or leave it. And that's the thing with what you're sharing and what you're selling is it's not for everybody. In fact, it's not for most people. And if your invitation is clear enough and you're clear enough about who you love to serve and who you want to serve, then people can decide for themselves, and that's perfectly fine. So then give them the details and carry on. So that's what goes into the signature workshop. So we did um, earlier in the year, earlier in the summer, back in the olden days in the summer, we did this origin story workshop. And the goal of that workshop was to get everybody reconnecting to the stories of your own life, your own past. And so, my question to all of you is, have you been telling more stories throughout the summer to your newsletter, to your social media, to your podcast audience? Are you telling more and better stories, do you feel? Does anybody want to share? And if you have been doing more stories, how's that been going for you? What have you been noticing through storytelling? And then we'll get to some more Q&A. Anybody want to share? You can either
So you
raise your
have so you have to unmute yourself, right?
Yeah, that's right. You got it.
All right. All right. Just double checking here. I was just trying to help out there.
Thank you.
Yeah, I tell a lot of stories, but they're to myself. So I'm gonna let everybody else go.
Well, maybe you should start sharing those personal stories to more people.
I have a reflection. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I work as a counselor and yeah, I've been trying to share my stories more and noticing that I'm coming up with a wall, a little bit of like, yeah, how personal to be about me when my therapeutic space really is about my client. Like I don't share my stories in those sessions, but just noticing that there's a barrier within me of being like, huh, yeah, how to juggle that as I'm like, oh, I have stories to share, and obviously I'm passionate because of these stories, and then yeah, getting a little lost in that.
Mm. Yeah, I understand. I mean, it can feel very vulnerable to share real stories, and then there's the professional line of how much to share to your readers or your listeners. Um, do you enjoy creative writing?
I do. Yeah, I
Because
really do.
because I've seen other people share fictional stories about real events. So you could create a world and tell a short story that has the lesson that you learn through your own life experience. If that helps you to feel like there's a little bit of separation between you as a counselor and the stories from your own personal life. Because I
Well,
understand that for some of you, it might be harder based on your profession to share the real stories from your life.
oh, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that. Thanks.
I've seen that done before, and it can work really beautiful. Um, what do you feel that the piece is that's holding you back the most?
Um, it's a little murky, so I think that there's emotions caught up in there for sure. I think it's yeah, it's the personal aspect of it, like the things that I focus on with my clients I have personal experience in, and so I think I get tripped up of just feeling about like, oh, how much detail do I share, and how much do I speak from like a me perspective versus like generalized therapeutic understanding of a topic, and that I think is the dissonance that I struggle with the most, and that just trips me up and then I end up not sharing at all.
Mm. So I have a trick for you, and hopefully this is helpful. So I have through our company Magic Kids, I've written 17 kid stories, and some of these are 90-minute audio movies, and some of them are 45-minute long form, 15 characters. They're complex stories. And one of my rules for myself is just write. Don't edit. There's time for editing and there's time for writing, and it's important to just not overthink it and let your fingers dance on the keyboard and see what comes through, and then take a moment and take some space and then reread what you wrote. And a lot of the time, I find is like the best stuff comes out when I'm not trying to filter or censor or wonder how somebody else is going to receive what I'm writing. And instead, I just write what wants to be coming through in the moment, because you can always edit it. And maybe an exercise for you, because this is clearly a growth edge, is come up with a topic or a story that you feel like a story from your life that you feel has a valuable lesson that would be great for other people, and just write that story and don't publish it. Maybe share it with a couple friends that you trust and be like, what do you think about this story that I wrote? How does this land
Hmm.
with you? And just get some feedback from people that you like, know, and trust. Or if you're part of any memberships or communities, post it in there for feedback. And then if you feel more comfortable, then maybe you share it out with your audience, or maybe you go back to work and edit again. But I would suggest, write a few stories like that without the pressure of this story needing to be published to the world, because not everything needs to be published, and sometimes it's just for practice. Sometimes you just need to get them out and see how that feels, and then you can make a decision as to whether or not you want to publish them. But I'm sure if you found a few friends or colleagues to read them, then you could get some feedback and you could feel more comfortable of what it's like to have other people's eyes on your stories.
I like that. Thanks. Yeah, I think just removing the barrier and practicing writing first sounds really wise. Thank you.
And that
I
goes
have a
for everybody.
comment and
Yeah,
a
go for it.
question.
Go for it.
Um, Valerie, just to comment on yours, I'm not a counselor, but I'm a hypnotherapist, and I have found that I tend to share stories that are relevant to the topic I'm discussing in a workshop or in a group of people, or just in sort of an ad hoc conversation about what I do and why I do it. And that provides a frame of reference around what I do. But I haven't, I share your hesitation in a one-on-one session. Um, it, it it's often not about it shouldn't be about my story, because it's about the person that I'm working with. um, but there are sometimes little nuggets that come out of those broader stories that I share in bigger groups that are, just one or two sentence kinds of relational things. That's just an idea, but I like Brad's idea of, you know writing a story and seeing how it feels and going from there. And
Mm-hmm.
my question is, about stories. I tend to sort of ad lib it all the time, just based on whatever comes up. And I'm wondering what the value is in having, a set, this is my story. It just sort of happens for me. So I'm curious about that, Brad.
In the context of content and newsletters, ad-libbing and whatever's coming up in the moment and capturing that on a recording, I mean, that's great. In the context of your signature workshop, it's meant to be the same, that you just keep tweaking and improving each and every single time. This is honestly the easiest, most scalable, simple, repeatable marketing strategy I have figured out in 20 years. And don't overcomplicate it by trying to create 6 signature workshops. Create one. Like, I haven't created my second one. I'm creating my second one starting this week in this training. And I've been touring this one workshop for 2 years. Now I'm going to make another one, but we want to just keep to it. And you'll find like, oh, my story, I need to shorten it. I rambled for 10 minutes and it should have been 5. Or the breakthrough experience didn't quite land how I thought it would in my imagination. So I'm going to tweak that a little bit and refine it. And anybody that saw my original one with Tad 2 years ago and they see the one that I have now, it's like the same foundation and it's a similar flow, but I've tweaked the slides, I've tweaked the process, the questions, some of the storytelling's been refined a little bit. And so for content creation, by all means, ramble. I mean, in our Magic Mind community, we meet 3 times a week, and I always open with a sermon. There's a business sermon at the beginning of all of those. And I've done hundreds of business sermons based on whatever's happening in my life, in my business, a case study, a client, a success, a failure, a struggle, a new launch, numbers, etc. And I just open with something that is thought-provoking for the people. And then what I do for content and what you all see inside my newsletter, if you follow the newsletter, is I'll grab just a snippet of that little business sermon that becomes a YouTube video. I turn that YouTube video into a podcast episode by clipping out the audio and adding my intro, outro. And then I run the transcript of that through Descript software. And then I take that transcript and I just get ChatGPT to do a quick edit so that what you read in my newsletter has been edited. And it's just all of that takes very, very little time to create that content. So if you're telling those stories, my suggestion to everybody is to get better at delivering those stories in the 3 ways people like to consume them, so that if you have 1,000 people on your email list, that some of those people only want to read. Some of those people only want to watch. Some of those people are only listeners. I typically listen. I listen or I skim read, as far as my style goes, unless I'm really captivated by what I'm reading. So yeah, that would be my suggestion, is to find a workflow like that that does work for you. But it's okay to riff. But for your signature workshop, keep that story the same, keep the philosophy the same, keep the experience the same, and keep the call to adventure the same, but always be improving it with each one that you deliver. Take 10 or 15 minutes to figure out, okay, what are 2 or 3 things that I can improve for the next delivery of it. Is that helpful,
Okay, thank
Catherine?
you very much. Yes, very helpful. Thank you.
All right, we're just now in general Q&A. Let's just do Q&A for the next 30 minutes around any topics people want to talk about. Sean, go for it.
Oh, I just wanted to put in a quick unpaid plug for Lisa Bloom, story coach. She is an incredible storyteller, and she's doing her signature workshop basically, I think, in a couple of days. Every time I've been on with her, it really helps me to refine my story, and I highly recommend her stuff. Free workshop, check it out.
Beautiful. Thanks for that.
Yeah, I put info in the chat. There's a link there if you're interested.
Perfect. Thanks, Sean. Kimberly asks, are you doing these workshops live? Yes. Yes. Do not do a pre-recorded webinar version. I mean, upload it to YouTube or podcast. I always upload my most recent signature workshop trainings to my podcast and my YouTube channel, so people can watch as they evolve over time. But you want it to be live, because people need to experience you live. There's something different that happens. If you did a workshop this week for one audience, but it's a different audience in a week from now, there's a different essence and energy that's there. There's a different need that's going to be met. And when you're tuned into that unique group of people, you're going to say things differently. And so you want this to be live. This is the easiest workshop ever, but you don't want to make it so easy that you try and do an evergreen version of it, because what people are going to be paying you for, whether they join your trainings or your programs, is like they need to know that they can trust you, especially with all the bullshit on the internet these days. People have lost their trust. And so if you give them an experience where they can feel resonance with you, and you give them a breakthrough that they've been looking for, then they're way more likely to climb the mountain with you. All right, Kimberly, go for it.
Yeah, that question was mine, but I have like a second part to it. I started typing it and I was like, oh, let me just raise my hand and speak. So how are you getting like new audiences? I mean, I have an email list, but I can't imagine just offering them the same workshop over and over again. And so I'm curious, what networks, how you branch out. And I'm sorry if you went over that already in the training. Today's the first day I was able to come live, and so I have some catching up to do, but
All good. No, it's perfectly fine. So, when you start, you're gonna obviously your first one will probably be to your own audience.
Mhm.
I personally, my Thriving in Business Without Social Media, I offer that about every 6 weeks to my newsletter, because new people are always joining, and some people couldn't get to the last one that I did. So it's always just upgrading, and I'll keep offering that. So in the training coming up here, this is the mountain that we climb. So we start with niching, and then you're going to design the actual experience. So those 4 quadrants that we talk about, you'll design that in session 2. The next one, you're going to craft the offer. So that's around building your landing page and the offer that you're creating. Then you're going to design your creative slides. Then you're going to market your first workshop delivery. Then you deliver it. And then we teach you to tour it. And in the touring one, that's where we help you to identify what are the keyword searches to find. How do you properly pitch people to host you? So how do you reach out cold to host you, the people that have never met you before, to get them to say yes? And I've had the majority of the people who I've reached out to and delivered workshops for have been cold outreach, that we just researched, we found them, we reached out, and they said yes. And typically when we send out emails, we're 15 to 20% of the people that we reach out to say yes to hosting my workshop.
Okay.
So with that, I'll just continue just for another moment. So once you build you're going to build a hub list, but the first people that you're going to reach out to is you're going to reflect on who have you met in the last 10 years that is aligned with your work, that you could reach out to those warm leads that you have and ask them to host you for this workshop. And I would also say for all of you, it's like teaching online is great. That's the most scalable part of the signature workshop training. But if you have connections and in-person locations that you could tap into, you could teach an in-person version of your signature workshop, which is free when you're doing it online. That's to collect email lists, to build your audience base who are reading your newsletters and connecting with you online. But if you take it, you could offer the same type of workshop, the same flow, but you could stretch it out to like a 2-hour in-person workshop, and you could charge money for that. For any of you that want to tour it in person, you could charge money, and you just give more time for coaching, more time for reflection if you're to do it as an in-person experience. But basically you want to tap into the warm people. And then what I do every time I go deliver my signature workshop, I ask the host, thank you for hosting me. They seem to always be stoked after the workshop. And then I say, who are 2 people that you recommend I reach out to host me next? And then they give me the names, and I say, can you make an introduction, please? And usually they make the introduction for me. And so that's how I've also grown my audience over the last little while. So those are some tips that will help you get in front of more people. And again, it's like, you're going to send out 100 emails, and you're probably going to have between 10 and 20 will book you. Cynthia, the case study that we sent out last week, it blew my mind. So she's been a part of our Magic Mind for a little while, and she just hired somebody to host her, or to help her tour signature workshop. And if you didn't read that email, I'll just show it right now, because everybody's going to have their own unique experience, and you're all going to have your own success rate, and that success rate will keep getting better. But she reached out and told me how good it was going. So she reached out to 22 hosts. 8 of them said yes. I think these numbers have actually improved and increased since then. 2 other hosts said yes to other collaborations. I'm not sure what those collaborations were, because this was just an email. I'm guessing like a podcast interview or something. Her first 2 workshops, there was a week notice before them, and 83 people registered. 16 showed up live. So 20% success rate with people showing up live is pretty standard. If you get 500 people who register, you're going to get probably maybe 100 tops. With these workshops, we had over 900 sign up for the summer series here, and we had roughly 100 people most weeks when we did these sessions. She had 13 people buy, and this was within the first week. She generated over $4,500 of revenue from teaching those 2 workshops. And yeah, then she had her third one booked, and this one had more lead up. And her partner did 1 email that 135 people signed up for her. So again, these numbers will change. But this is a real member. These are her numbers. Like, this is legit. It's pretty incredible. I've had workshops that, like, I'll get 22 people sign up, and some of them I've had 500 plus people sign up for them. So it really depends on the hosts, and we teach you all the things in the training about how to approach the hosts, how to negotiate, how to try to get it so that your host wants to use your landing page instead of their landing page, etc. Is that helpful around the audiences? It gives you
Yeah.
some starting points.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'm curious, can I ask one other question along the line?
Sure.
So
You got the mic. Go for it.
you find, I know there's somebody else waiting, so I just want to be, I don't want to take up too much time, but do you find any difference in like show up rates or conversions based on whether people pay for the workshop or don't pay for the workshop?
The signature workshop's got to be free. It's got to be. It's your base camp. It's like, blow people's minds with what you give away for free, and they will trust you with what you're going to charge money for.
Well, you're
As
saying
far as
in-
I've never charged for this. Even the ones that I did do in person, I
okay.
gave them for free. I didn't want to charge for them. This is like,
Okay.
to me, breaking people out of the matrix is a public service that I'm happy to provide. Because way too many people are wasting their life on social media, and they're disconnected from their families, and they're disconnected from their passions and hobbies. And it's the least I could do to help set people free. So that's what I'm here for.
Well,
Yeah. But, if you want, experiment, but I would not recommend doing a paid version. If you want to do paid stuff, paid workshops and deeper dive trainings, I launched a course earlier this year called Teach 2024. And the premise of that is, like, have your signature workshop that's 1 hour. If you want to do a 4-hour deep dive, like a half-day deep dive online, or like a 2 half-days, then charge $200 or $500 for like a deeper dive experience, but don't charge for your 60-minute workshop. This is here to build your audience.
got it. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Alicia, go for it.
Hi, Bradley. So I've signed up and I'm really looking forward to Thursday starting, but I'm still deciding between 2 different parts of my business that I want to build. So when I think about my business in 10 years, I want it to have 3 different spaces. One of them I put on the back burner, and I'm having a hard time deciding which of the 2 to focus on during the signature workshop time. So I was wondering if you had criteria for me to think about in making that decision. And I'm also just kind of curious what people here would find more appealing.
So do you have like a short elevator pitch for both sides?
I do.
All right, go for it. Why don't we start
Okay.
with that?
So the one possibility is preparing for parenthood. So the big thing that somebody would eventually buy into is a series of courses and coaching, both group and individual, to help them build their skills and their preparation for becoming parents. So this would be primarily for people who are thinking about becoming parents or parents of very young children. And it's based on science and recent research that's been done. So it's the things that we didn't know when our kids were young. So it's more around the story for people who say, I'm scared to become a parent because I don't know how to be a parent. I didn't have a good example.
Mm.
The other area that I want to work in is more specific, and that's around families where math homework and math anxiety is causing stress in the family. And so what's different there is I don't want to tutor children. I want to coach parents to be able to co-regulate with their kids and help their kids get in the right headspace to do their homework. Because you have to have your emotions settled, you have to have your lizard brain settled with security before your prefrontal cortex can change and can learn new things. So on the one hand, it's parents to be, on the other hand, it's families with math anxiety.
And what is your primary source of revenue right now between those two?
Right now, neither, because I'm just
Okay.
getting started
Sweet.
while I'm the primary caretaker for my mom.
There's no shame in just getting started, everybody. We're all just getting started at something. So that's totally fine. Let's just skip forward 3 years from now. So imagine 3 years from now, because we could do everything. We can't do everything all at once. We leak our chi or our energy if we try and scatter our seeds in too many places. We need to be focused. And so in 3 years from now, what do you want people to know you for?
That's where I feel very stuck.
Okay, let me ask you another question. What do you feel like your life experience could be most valuable to others based on these two different pathways?
My personal experience, probably the parenting, because I grew up thinking I'd never be a parent because I never want to screw my kids up as bad as I got screwed up.
Yeah.
But the math ed part is not something that I experienced because I've always understood math. I've always understood how to help others understand math. So I haven't been in the pathway of the people that I want to help on the math side of things. But my understanding of math education is very unique.
Yeah. Well, there's audiences for both pathways. Is there one over the other that makes you feel most lit up? That you feel like, because what we're looking for is like, where's the momentum? Where's the fuel? The fuel is the passion, it's the inspiration, it's the simplicity because you can see the path in front of you. You can understand exactly what you need to do. You can see the blocks in front of you of like, okay, I'm going to do this, then this, and this. Like, where do you feel the momentum when you look at these two paths? Which one feels like it's got more lightness for you?
That's a really excellent question. Where is the fuel?
Where's the fuel?
I think it's really probably in helping people who are planning to become parents.
That feels like the fuel?
Yeah, I mean, that feels like the part that calls to me the most. It's the part that feels most clear into what things people need to know, what they need to believe about themselves, what skills they need to have. All of that is very clear to me.
Well, and if you think about that, you're working with parents, people who are preparing to be parents, so they're just new parents, etc. Those people will have children who need to learn math in 5 or 6 or 7 years from now. So if you can get the foundation built at the early stage, then you could have clients that last for a decade plus.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Thank you. Because I did start writing a book, How to Help Your Children Succeed in Math, even if you hate it.
Well, maybe as you grow this thing, maybe if if you have your pie, maybe 75% goes to the helping parents prepare and to have children, and the other little section of the pie, just a small portion, like if you're working 5 days a week, 1 day a week might be the math thing, and 4 days a week might be everything to do with this other stuff.
Okay.
It's just important. I always say my mantra is schedule your success. And if you can block off your times, you can see how everything fits together.
Okay.
Love it. It's great
That was
work.
very
Both
helpful.
are worthy causes to focus on.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Okay, Renee, I think you're next.
Okay, thank you. Hi. So I asked a question in the chat and then someone else responded. So I asked if there was a place for the people who are joining you in TAD to like collaborate and support one another. And someone said yes. So
Yeah, so as we get to when it comes time to deliver your signature workshop, we're going to have a space where everybody's going to be encouraged to sign up for at least one other workshop and go support their fellow participants. When we do the tour your workshop section, we're going to have a pitch place where everybody can trade hosting for each other's audiences. I mean, my hopes are that everybody that goes through the training walks out of the training with at least 2 or 3 of their first bookings ready to go, and you can exchange audiences and negotiate. And we'll teach you how to do that as well. But yeah, it's like, let's all rise together and head into 2025 with this grounded strategy, several versions of the signature workshop done already, and starting to book up your calendar with your tour.
okay. Awesome.
Fun.
And then so my question is, I am a naturopathic doctor. And my point of view is kind of that the alphabet agencies in the government are not there to help us. And once I realized this in high school, I created my life in a way that I avoided cancer. Was my goal. And I've been successful, and in the process went on my own, all these other journeys. I'm really good and have a lot of passion about helping people who traditional medicine says you now need to have like this crazy surgery to put a tube in your bladder and it's going to change your quality of life, or you're going to be in a wheelchair forever. And it doesn't have to be that way. And so that's like the top high-end one-on-one coaching health stuff that I do. And so thinking of like the pyramid of what I could offer as a signature workshop, I thought of like 5 fundamentals of health, like whether or not you work with me or someone else, like here's 5 things you can do to improve your health for everyone. It doesn't cost money. Naturopathic medicine is seen as like super expensive, and it can be, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on all of
My main thing is like information is free. So how do you make the workshop more than just information? Like experiential, whether it's self-reflection, whether it's taking inventory of their life and seeing where they're out of balance or out of alignment, or helping them to have a deeper sense of awareness into however you work, whatever your system is that you do with people, helping them to walk away realizing something new about why they're in the current state of health that they're in, and how they can have an empowered approach and take their health into their own hands. If you can help them leave feeling that, I think that's the goal, right? And then if they're looking for a hand to hold as they embark on this new path of feeling empowered with their health, then that's what you're there for. So I would say yes, like how the information is a part of it, but it's also got to be experiential. They got to walk away feeling like something has changed for them. Feeling like, here's the mountain. Look up there. Anytime we're going to go hike a mountain, you can see the top of the mountain from the bottom in most cases, unless you're in the forest. And we all know that if we're going to start walking that mountain, it's going to be a hell of a journey. We're going to want to quit at times. We're going to have resistance. It's going to be challenging. And that's what we're all there for as mountain guides, is like, we're there to help people not quit so they get to the top of the mountain and they get to see that view, whatever the view is from the top. And a part of our marketing of what we're all here to do is we're here to paint the picture of this is what the view looks like from there. This view is possible for you. If you want to come do the hard work and climb the mountain with me, this is going to be for you. Make sense?
Yeah. Do you have any idea, like, so my aha, somewhere in there, I need to have them like pause and do some kind of self-reflection, see where the 5 things need
Yeah.
help or something.
Yeah, it could be that. You can be as creative as you want with what that process looks like. And I mean, we're gonna guide you through a creative process to help pull out what the best experience could be for each individual, because everybody's doing, we have so many talented people here doing all different things.
Okay. Thank you.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thanks for the
Hey,
work you're doing.
sorry.
Yeah,
I
you're
was
in.
actually next after Alicia, but my video was off, so I think it skipped me.
Well, you're in now. So
Okay, great.
what's your question?
I'm definitely that person who's like, I don't know which workshop I want to do, so I want to do like 6 or 7 and figure out which one feels good. That's part of my question. The other part is, I was recently thinking about what's been really helpful for my clients. I'm an ADHD coach and sort of like a creative rebel entrepreneurs coach. And I thought about putting together a workshop that was like, schedule your workshop, we're going to design it together, and you're going to like figure out all the marketing you're going to do for it in an hour. I'm not sure that's possible in an hour, but does that even sound like it could be a signature workshop? Because it seems sort of like, I guess in some ways, like less related to point of view or less personal.
What are people currently paying you money for?
A lot of it is like leaning into being visible in the world. A lot of it is sort of like building their businesses while doing that, and also just like taking action. So a combination of internal work to be able to do the action and then taking the action.
And what do you think would be the perfect preparation for them to be ready to work with you? That if they've gone through this 60-minute experience, the next logical step would be to climb the rest of the mountain with you.
Mm, I do think creating a workshop and putting it on would be great preparation, because what you get to see is that you can actually take action very quickly, and that this idea that you've been sitting on, or this thing that you've been trying to do, you can just do it right away, and
Yeah.
then all of the other things in your business can be like that. But also like allowing for flexibility in how you do it if you're a person who likes to change their mind.
What I like about this is like you're helping them to create a quick and dirty launch plan in 60 minutes, where you can do the story and the philosophy, and then you can guide them through a process that has like predetermined questions to help them get ready to launch. And it's like give them 2 minutes of actual time to fill in their answers, and then by the end of it, yeah. And for those of you that like have ever done any of my trainings, it's like it might be a 2 hour block, but an hour of that is going to be doing the actual work.
Right.
It's like I'm going to teach a piece. Now you're going to do the work for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. And then we might have a short share. And then we're going to go on to the next thing. And so if you're giving people the opportunity to at least start something, then momentum will already be there. And they're naturally, most people are going to be inclined of like, I got to finish this thing. Otherwise, it's going to keep tapping me on the shoulder. So I think that there is value in that for sure. And as long as it doesn't make sense of like, okay, if you liked this and now you got something ready and now you want to go launch that, or if you're looking for more exposure, then here's how you could sign up for my services where I'm going to help you be seen in the world. Does that make sense?
Have you ever had anybody try to do like multiple signature workshops and then decide on one?
Don't do it. It's so much work to do your first one. I mean, unless you've got 60 hours a week that you want to be carving out to mapping all these things. And I would just suggest for version one, do one. Do one and keep repeating it. And the first several sessions are going to help you narrow in on like which of your ideas to hone in on. And you'll get a bunch of feedback from the community of people that can vote on your ideas.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. Yeah. And you could have some real world conversations with clients and people that you've worked with as well.
Cool, thank you.
All right, Catherine. And then Aaron,
I
and
just
then
had a
Sam.
I just had a quick question about hubs, and you talked a little while ago about how you find hosts, and but the first step was tap the people you already know. I spent 35 years doing a I was a tax accountant, and now I'm a hypnotherapist, and those two worlds don't really go together. And so I'm at a loss to think about how to, where do I start? Are you going to cover that in the course, or can you give me a brief, where do I start kind of answer?
Well, so yeah, I mean, it's a very step-by-step process that we take you through of you're going to do this and then that, and at the end of it, you've got the full spectrum completed. And a part of where the clarity comes from is one, the questions that you're going to be filling out and answering inside of the training are going to help to narrow your focus and hone the focus so that instead of feeling like it's this, that it's more like this. I play professional golf, and so one of the things that I learned is that most amateur golfers say they want to hit the fairway, and when you say you want to hit the fairway, your margin for error is like across the road on both sides. Whereas if you pick a really specific and small target, like a leaf or a branch or something small off in the distance as your target, then your margin for error is like that. And so now you're just hitting the edges of the fairway instead of across the road. And so with this, we're going to help you pick your targets and communicate those targets once you've picked the target. And for it to feel good, and there's going to be opportunities for coaching and for you to get feedback based on your ideas so that you can turn some of the mixed up gooey parts that feel a little bit confused to feel more clear. Yeah, we're all
Okay,
going to be
thank
we're
you.
all going to be walking up the mountain together and getting clear as we go.
Perfect. Thank you. Looking forward.
Awesome. And yeah, just so everybody knows, there's two different paths that you can choose. If you haven't signed up yet, and you do think you're going to, when you join the signature workshop training. So you can just pay for the training, you own the training, you're in that training space forever. Or if you join the Magic Mind community space, which is my membership, it's going to be basically, if you signed up today, it's going to be the same price. You could cancel um, after your fourth payment, and that's fine. And that gets you access to my community space, which is I do Mondays and Thursdays. I have a Magic Mind coaching session where you get extra hot seat time. And Wednesdays we do a co-working, get shit done writing session. So if you want a container to do some like deep focused writing, that's what we do there. You also get all my other courses and trainings and templates that we use for all of our clients and that we work with at Magic Media. So either price point, it's the same price if you're signing up at this stage of the game. And both of them are on that page. All right, let's go with Aaron.
Hello? Oh, hey there. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Hey,
Got
how
it.
you doing? Thanks for this. Enjoyed it. Quick question. So I just found out about this, I think yesterday or a day or two ago. So this is my first one. When I went and signed up for the series, the 6 series, they all looked awesome. I wonder if there's recordings of those that I can go
Yes.
back and see those.
Yeah, so the summer series, all the recordings are actually right on the page where everybody registered. We just wanted to keep it all in one spot. So if you go, all of the recordings from this series are going to be at this location. I'm not taking them down, so they'll be there forever. So you can access
Awesome.
them anytime. And I created an audio version for them as well if you'd rather not watch and just
Wow,
listen.
that's awesome. And I do have one more quick question now that I'm here. So when you are contacting other people, I know you'll probably go more in depth, but I'm assuming you're offering them like, affiliate relationships where they can earn commissions, and is that what's kind of the main thing that you're pitching, what's in it for them for hosting you on the workshop besides, I'm sure money probably, but what else?
Yeah, so when I reach out to folks, it's you're trying to build an audience, like the host that you're reaching out to, that you'd actually want to reach out to, that if they said, sure, I'll do this, but will you reciprocate? So you want to find hosts that you actually dig their work. And if they did want reciprocation for you to promote a workshop of theirs or host a podcast episode with them, that you'd actually be into that. So that's one important piece, is that you like them and you're not just reaching out to anybody and everybody.
Yeah.
Which should be obvious, but it's not, because when we're reaching out, it's just like, I'll take anybody to host me. And I actually had one an exchange recently with an online marketer, and I played some hardball because I was like, I raised some concerns around, like, I see what you're doing with your email marketing stuff, and I'm just gonna be blunt and say, like, I have concerns that your approach is going to be douchey and my people aren't going to like it. And so he came back with a really thoughtful email, and he sent me some samples of like his previous emails that he sent out. And I was like, oh, cool. You're definitely real and you're not douchey at all. And I'm happy to host you for a workshop. But yeah, that's one important piece. Just don't collaborate with people that have sketchy practices. Come back to the question. Help me get back on focus here. I went off the rails there.
Yeah, what when you're pitching people, what
Oh,
are the main things? I mean, you obviously you want to come to the point of view of how can I offer value? I'm asking
yes.
for this thing, but what value can I offer to them? And that's kind of my main question of,
Perfect.
I'm sure there's a lot to it, but briefly.
Yeah, so you're looking for audiences that you can see a gap that you can fill. You have a complementary set of skills or a similar point of view or philosophy, but you see a gap that you can cover. So, like, for example, if I'm reaching out to people that serve creators and entrepreneurs and their coaches and helping people get results online with their businesses, I fill the gap with this workshop anyways, around here's how you thrive without social media. I see that none of the stuff you're offering on your website. Teach people this. Can I come teach the 60-minute workshop to your people? So I'm filling a gap for them that they don't necessarily have. So that's one. You're ultimately there to make them look good for their audience. Anybody that is a creator on the internet, we have to constantly be making content for our people. I'm making your life easier because I'm going to fill your content schedule. You're going to have a couple promotional emails. You're going to
Right.
get the recording. We're going to do a live event. You're looking good. I'm making your life easy, and I'm filling a gap. There's obviously, for those of you that do affiliates, and I would say probably 80% of the people that host me for my workshop don't do an affiliate thing. Most people don't care. Like, I'm just happy to,
Wow.
I'm happy to do the thing. I mean, I'm working a lot with like ethical coaches and creators and marketers and stuff like that. So it's kind of our people. I don't usually do, like, once in a while I'll do the affiliate. Sometimes I do. I don't usually ask. If they have it, then fine.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's really good to hear, because I've done large live events, and I did a similar thing where I'd find people in the community. And I was like, I love what you're doing. I think it's great. I think your audience will like what we're doing. Well, and then rather than trying to charge money, I was like, yeah, get us in front of your audience and then come to the event. We'll give you a booth. We'll make you a sponsor. And, there's money exchanges can be fine, but I loved that because it was just like, so I'm happy to hear that you're having success. Not that I'd be opposed to always doing affiliate, but without it, that's really cool to hear.
Yeah, most don't even do the affiliate sign up.
Nice.
So yeah,
Cool.
hopefully that answers your question. Obviously, like,
Beautiful.
we've got lots of templates. When we get to the tour your workshop, so we have a template for your email outreach that's going to teach you a ChatGPT hack to basically, by the time we get to that, you're going to have your landing page, you're going to have promotional emails, you're going to have a lot of stuff already built. We're going to give you some prompts that you can plug all that in with our email template to reach out to hosts. And in 3 seconds, you're going to have a template that you can work with. Same goes with the media page that you have to create. It's really important that when you reach out to a host and you pitch them and they say yes, you're going to send them one link that has everything that they need. So the link will have their calendar booking link, information on how to how to promote your signature workshop, 3 pre-written emails, 6 pre-written social media posts, your banners, your bio, the landing page copy. It's all just in one spot, so that now there's no need to have back and forth. I give people, when they book me, of like, here's the link, and if you just want to have a get to know you call ahead of time, here's a link to book a 20-minute call with me so we can just chat and say hi. But other than that, there's very little back and forth that happens, which is a big time saver.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. Welcome. Glad you found us. All right. Sam, and then Gina, and then I'm going to have to bounce to my next meeting in 6 minutes. So go for it, Sam.
Hey man. Okay, quick then. I'm an oral storyteller. My organization runs events, access to deep stuff for people who are spiritually poor or seeking for something. My question is, how much of the transformation piece needs to reflect the adventure itself? Like, does it need to be the same thing or feel like it's in the same family, or how much connective tissue does it need to have, do you think?
It's got to be a taste test. That's what this is. It's like, it's a sample platter of who you are and what you have to offer. And so you want to give them, in 60 minutes, you want to give them a taste of what's possible if they decide to climb the mountain, and what that adventure is going to be like with you. Your personality is going to shine through. It's like, is this person, not everybody's going to be fun. Like, is this person fun, or is this person like really powerful in their presence? Did they hold a space great for me? Did they help me have a creative breakthrough I was looking for? Did they help me see something or think about something in a different way? So, your breakthrough experiences, it's going to be different from everybody else's. It needs to feel like, if we're climbing a mountain, you can't start here and then leap over to this side and start climbing. It needs to be it feel like a cohesive journey, is from like base camp, and like, here's the next step to get up this next part of the mountain. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there's I have more questions, but there's not enough time. So thank you. Yeah.
Take another minute. What's your another question? I'll try and answer as quickly as possible.
Okay, so I get where you're going theoretically, and I suppose my question is more about so there's a little bit of theater in what we do. It's in wild places. It's natural. There's fire. It's a bit scary. It's really hard to draw that tonally into a sort of Zoom setting like this. So my question, I suppose, is around do you think that breakthrough could feel, so let's just go for an example. Say we did a writing exercise which was about sort of witnessing yourself as something non-human.
Yeah.
And then that drew you into the adventure part of it, which is going out into the wild and being a bit scared. Does that feel congruent, or does it need to be tonally the same? Does the lighting need to be played? Do you know what I'm saying? So the
I mean,
quality.
Yeah, it all depends. Like, your story, your point of view, and your experience are all going to be a cohesive experience for people, that feels connected. And I mean, giving people a writing exercise is great. It's a great prompt, because most people are too damn busy. And if they've shown up for a 60-minute experience with you, and you're going to give them some writing cues and some actual time and space to do the work, I mean, what a gift. They're going to walk away and be like, man, I just actually did some writing. I've been thinking about
Yeah.
writing, and now I actually did it. It's a good feeling. Sometimes that's all we have to do, is ask a couple questions and give people some freaking space in their life to just answer for themselves.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be complicated. That's for sure.
Cool. Appreciate it. Thank you for
Awesome.
this.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, one more. Gina, go for it.
Hiya. We're talking about the signature workshop allowing us to collect email addresses, et cetera, but a lot of times, because of the nature of my work in deaf literacy education and executor stuff, and because most of my clients are seniors, they ask me to do a lot of stuff in person. So what is the strategy for using that tool in a live situation? I always offer, if they email me or leave their email, I will send them additional information, or that kind of thing. But what else is there?
Well, if you're doing it in a live in-person experience, and you're still offering it for free, then you can just have an RSVP page that you create. It's like, give your email and we'll send you the details, and send you reminders leading up to the event. So you can still collect those emails and still follow up with them. And I think the majority of seniors are still using email in their life. In fact, they're probably the ones that open every single email and read every single email. So you're more likely to get some engaged people if you're working with that audience.
All right. Well, generally, I'm working through associations and public libraries and things like that. So I'd have to figure out how to attract traffic to my managing those lists.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, and you may want to eventually, through this process, branch out so that you're an independent.
Yeah. Okay.
Because
that's what I figured. Yeah.
that's how we create freedom in our life. Is like you can't be under the thumb of another organization that owns the content or the audience.
For sure.
And so we can come up with some ideas, but you could do both. You know, it's two paths.
Okay. Thank you.
Beautiful. Okay. I think that is,
Bradley,
yes.
this is not a question. This
Yeah.
is Uncle Brother. I just wanted to tell you, I've been following Tad for many years, read his book. I remember when he brought you on, and you're a good man. You know, I don't care what they say about you. I'm just kidding. It's a little joke. Um, thank you for stepping in and stepping out and doing this. I hope Tad gets a chance to do this. I know you're going to reschedule. Just wanted to thank you very much. And as a person who's taught Qigong for 30 years, it's great to see another healer, because that's what you're doing. You're helping people inside to heal. So thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Uncle Brother. Thanks.
That's it.
Thanks very much. Thank you, everybody. You'll get emails in your inbox if you decide you want to get off the fence and hop into the training starting on Thursday. But this has been fun. Thanks for following the series. And hopefully within the next week, Tad does his workshop. So take care, everybody. Stay awesome.